Welcome to a night of total terror.
In 1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its
We
time.
must not be lulled by the concept that these are our family members or our friends. They are not. They will not respond to such emotion.
Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all time.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
First came the night, then came the dawn. Now comes the most eagerly awaited day in horror film history.
Thursday of the Dead.
Welcome back to Thursday of the Dead, episode 361. My name is Jace. Well, today's episode is on a long-awaited Night of the Living Dead book, which is the official story of the film. And before I get into that, I just want to acknowledge we lost another legend, Tim Curry. At the time I'm recording this audio, it was just announced that he passed. My favorite role of his, beyond Rocky Horror, was Darkness in Legend. Incredible if you haven't seen it. And of course, Pennywise, the original from the TV series of It. So, another horror legend gone. So let's get back to the book. This is a beautiful book. It's humongous. Has great pictures. One of the things I like most about it is the unreleased photos that I've never seen. And I'll show you because I'm basically going to flip through the entire book to show some of the key photos. I mean, you're just basically seeing it all as I'm seeing it for the first time. With this book, in reading it, there were a couple of stories that I'd never heard before. The one that really sticks out to me is from Russell Streiner, talking about the first time he met George and how George was so eccentric, showing up dressed like Cyrano de Bergerac, and how he slept in their office. I think even at 247 Fort Pitt. But I know for the original Latent Image office, they were talking about how he slept there. And they couldn't figure out where he was sleeping. And that he would, instead of doing laundry, he would just go and buy new clothes. And Russell had said that when they finally broke down and made him take all of his clothes to the dry cleaning, it was like $200. So it's an interesting insight to see not only how artistic, but also how eccentric George was when he was younger. I remember, I think it was Tom Savini had said, like when he first met him, that George was dressed kind of like Zorro or something like that. So it makes sense. He was really into characters. And so the design of this book is beautiful. Also, I will say, this is not the definitive book. There is no definitive book. And much like when I was reviewing Partially Devoured, I used the analogy of the Prince book that I liked. And with that, I found there is no definitive Prince book. It's basically a series of books. Each book gives you an aspect of the full picture. And so, along with this book, I recommend that you read The Farmhouse 7, John Russo's complete Night of the Living Dead film book, Joe Kane's book on Night of the Living Dead, Partially Devoured by Daniel Kraus, and of course the multiple novelizations by John Russo, which I own pretty much every single one that I've been able to find. There's still a few I'm searching for, and I will find them. So that's a cool picture of George on set of, I think that was the Calgon commercial. lots of images I've never seen, and like very nicely restored images that I have seen, or kind of slightly altered. Like the photo I'm used to is like a variation of this, like that fight scene on the left. I don't think I've seen that before. I've seen plenty of fight scenes between Johnny and the number one zombie, or cemetery zombie, whatever you want to call him. It is interesting to read. I mean, I know a lot about how Image 10 formed from the latent image. I didn't know how Hardman and Associates became involved with them, so that was cool to read. That's a really cool shot with George in the background. Like I had mentioned, shots I'm familiar with, but slightly different. And there are actual scans of George's original script in here, which is really cool. So I think there is another Night of the Living Dead book on the way. I thought I saw someone post. Of course, there's going to be more of these. There is also, I should mention, there's a book I have, Night of the Living Dead, from BFI that's very good. I have 2 copies with different covers because, you know, I'm a crazy collector. So I'll ask you while you're watching, what's a Night of the Living Dead book that you have that I haven't mentioned that informs what you think about Night of the Living Dead? I'm sure I'm missing something, but I have so many. I've got I've got a few different copies of Complete Night of the Living Dead film book. There are different covers for that. I haven't gotten the latest one because there's not really any need, and I don't like the cover design. But I've got a couple different signed copies of the original pressing, and I have one with the red cover pressing that isn't signed. At least I don't think it's signed. But basically, the only problem with this book is it's too tall to fit in my bookshelf with all my other night books, so I guess it might have to lay down underneath. Yeah, this is a cool shot. That's cool too. See, that's a famous scene, but I've never seen it from that angle. I mean, I basically could spend the whole time of the book talking about these different shots. That shot of Dwayne Jones is really cool. So, of course, because I'm an artist, I'm looking at some of these for references for drawings or paintings. And there's a ton in here because images I've never seen before. What that means is there's not really been any paintings or drawings of those images either. So I like that it's kind of cut off here, but the ghoul at the top of the stairs, you get an actual cool shot of that. Or a different shot, I should say. So once they get into like the farmhouse stuff, it definitely goes into the territory of the Farmhouse 7, which did a great job of explaining how that process worked. And of course, laying out where the shots were in the Evans City Cemetery. I have that photo signed by Judith O'Day. When I met her for the first time, I picked out that photo. I told her about how much I liked that photo. She's like, oh, that's one of my favorites too. I don't know if she was just being nice, but I mean, she was very nice when I met her. This cool color shot in the cemetery is new to me. More new shots. I do like that there are shots of the makeup from behind the scenes. I've never seen some of those shots. Lots of cool zombie photos. So next week will actually be another Night of the Living Dead episode, because if all goes well, my Night of the Living Dead or Night of the Living Tapes special edition will arrive. So we'll continue this and then go into some Lucio Fulci VHS tapes. I have my birthday coming up. So the weekend or the week next week will be Night of the Living Tapes, hopefully. And then the week following will be a look back at my birthday celebration. And on my birthday weekend is another Days of the Dead Las Vegas. I was excited because Sherman Howard, Bub, was going to be there. And I've never met him in person. And so now I see that they added Ken, Galen, and Scott from Dawn of the Dead. And I've met all three of them. So I might actually just take in one of my pictures I took with them at Living Dead Weekend 2023 and have them all sign it. In fact, I think I will do that because that'll be pretty cool. And I forgot to bring it with me to Living Dead Weekend 2026. So it's convenient they're going to be there. There's some other cool people there that I want to meet. I don't remember them offhand. This is a cool color shot. It is surreal to see some of the color shots because everything looks so lifelike and normal versus the eerie classic images in black and white. See, like the police cars in color. It's hard to wrap my mind around that. Of course, the chocolate syrup wouldn't look great in color. I do like the young shots of George. There's lots of young shots in here. More cool pics. There's a pic of Bill at the bottom grabbing onto the door that I haven't seen before. Maybe another reference for a drawing or something. Yeah, that in color would blow it, you know, everything would be brown. And of course, like anything with Night of the Living Dead, including the movie, it's a tragic story because of what happened with the copyright. And thankfully, Partially Devoured addressed a lot of that. And then, see, that's a cool picture of George. Also learning more about Duane Jones and how he viewed his role in the film and what he went on to do. Made me feel a little bit better about what happened with everybody. And his lack of connection with George is another tragedy. So this book isn't cheap. I think it was like $50. Oh, I have that CD. Some of you probably do too. I think that CD cost more than the book. I had it when it first came out and then sold it because stupid. Look at all those tapes and the Haiku records. I played with the idea of trying to track down some of those Haiku records because I've collected so many of those D-Wolf from Dawn of the Dead. And then I realized that's a very expensive and time-consuming hobby that I don't need to get into. Yeah, I'm sure anyone that's a fan of Night of the Living Dead knows the story about the distribution. The Night of the Flesh Eaters title card being taken off and replaced with Night of the Living Dead and losing the copyright notice. A horrible lesson for everyone involved. But also kind of a blessing because it created a market for midnight movies and all the bootleg, or unauthorized, I should say, video cassettes that I collect and that are showcased in that Night of the Living Tapes book by Jeff Turner, which I'll be talking about next week. There's like promo stuff, stills, posters, the premiere. Really cool shots of the premiere that I've never seen. So while I'm wrapping up here, the verdict is if you like Night of the Living Dead, and I assume you do if you're watching this channel, this is a must-buy. It's very well put together. There's content in here that's not available anywhere else. And it's a great reference for what the movie was and how it was made and the reaction to it. And of course, unreleased photos. That's a big selling point for me. It's funny they do touch on Roger Ebert's original review of Night, how because it was unrated, kids could go in and see it. And he went in to a screening with a bunch of kids and how they were all crying afterwards, which I saw Night of the Living Dead when I was maybe 7 or 8, not in the theater, but on TV. And then I saw Dawn of the Dead when I was 8 in San Francisco with my dad. And I didn't cry, but I was definitely traumatized in the best way. Gave me nightmares, made me afraid of the dark and everything. I think I was already afraid of the dark, but now there were zombies in the dark. But of course, it put a germ into my mind of what would I do if this happened? Because, you know, if your friends and family are coming back from the dead for you or your neighbors, how are you going to escape them? I have my theories, but what I've landed on now is I wouldn't survive. I'm just not fast enough or agile enough now after my stroke. It's like I can't run, can't climb. All the things that I would think of doing are kind of out the window, so they would get me. And I would be a very interesting zombie try to walk around with a cane. I don't think I've seen a zombie with a cane. There should be. I guess the coordination thing comes into play. But anyway, I'm rambling. I do have that game. I'll talk about that in a different point or a different episode down the road. I love the Criterion edition. I have the Blu-ray and the 4K, of course. And the poster of that art. Oh, we made it to the end. I know most of my episodes run around 5 to 10 minutes, so this is a long one. If you've gotten all the way here, thanks for watching. Come back next week, and I'll be talking about Jeff Turner's Night Living Tapes Expanded Edition.